It works if you take the lid off the camera there where it can see. Hello everybody, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. I thought I was prepared. Now it makes me wonder. Did you see Itchy Boots cross over into Iraq? I tell you, I guess Iraq's better than Iran. It looks like everybody's super friendly, but she's still got more guts than I got, I can tell you that. And then, wouldn't you know, just as she starts her trip to head toward the border, she dropped her tablet on the road and it got crushed, and she's lost her navigation. So she is one brave chick to be traveling through all that mess, especially without her navigation. She got more guts than I got. That's all I can say for sure. Well, I released my common sense welding video, and 3 people watched it, which it got really good feedback from 3 people. No, actually 658 people watched it, at least as of a few minutes ago, which is pretty minimal. I was hoping to do better than that. I thought, common sense welding, I thought would be a fairly popular topic. I was kind of hoping to see at least 1,000 or more by now. But anyway, at least all the feedback that I got has been super positive, so maybe it'll catch on and do better later. I do plan to put out a couple more videos on that topic, though it may not be worth it. So this morning, I went down to the shop with the idea of working on my next video, but then I thought, man, I really need to get some chainsaw chains sharpened, because that's what I do mostly during the winter, is cut firewood. And so I did make just a short video clip of how I sharpen my chains. So here's a look at that. Well, it's chain sharpening time, and you can see I have more than the average when it comes to chains. I need to sharpen a bunch of them. I have several for the small chainsaw, the 50cc saw, and I have several for the 72cc saw. I have a note on here that on this side I have to increase it by 5 degrees because this thing was manufactured wrong. I could never get it to work right. One day by accident I put it on a lower setting on this side than I did on this side, and it cut perfectly, and I couldn't believe it. Fortunately, I discovered what I had done, and so now I always do that, and it works perfectly. Okay, that's one time all the way through on the one side. Now I'll switch it to the other side and add 5 degrees. That was 25 degrees, so on the other side I'll go to 30. And as long as I do that, it cuts perfectly. So that's how fast it works. It doesn't take very long to sharpen a chain, and I'll guarantee you that chain there will cut just about as good as a factory chain. It's amazing how good this does and how fast you can do it. Yeah, I bought that chain sharpener. It's a name brand. Now that I think about it, I think it's Oregon. And I paid, I'm going to say, in the neighborhood of $350 for it. Maybe it was $250. I can't remember now. Quite a few years ago, 15 years ago, or longer than that, probably closer to 20 years ago. Well, anyway, for the first bunch of years, I'm talking maybe the first 15 years, I couldn't get that thing to work worth a darn. I'd have to do special handling. I'd have to measure each tooth and then set it accordingly, and you know, and I'd have to futz with it one side to the other, and I couldn't figure out why that thing just wouldn't do better than that. And yeah, I know you can sharpen them by hand. I get it. I've done that. But when you got as many chains as I have, you need a fast, good, reliable, perfect way to do it. And so anyway, just one day there, I just happened to accidentally turn it 5 degrees off on one side than the other, and it worked perfect. And I went, wait a minute here, how come I didn't have to do special handling here, you know? And then I got to looking at it, and I saw what I did, and it's been manufactured wrong is what the problem is. Now, you might say, oh, you're just sitting it weird. No, I'm not. You can take a brand new chain, put it on there, brand new, it hasn't been sharpened. And if you turn it to 25 on one side and 30 on the other, it matches the profile of that brand new chain perfectly. I mean, perfect. Where if you don't do that, like if you set it to 25 on each side, it'll cut way more off of one side than it will off the other. So that's how I know it was manufactured wrong. It just is what it is. But now that I know that, it absolutely works perfect. It's just, it really does. I'm seriously telling you, and I don't have to do anything special. And I can do it just about as fast as I can drop that thing down. And it might look like I'm cutting a lot off the chain. That's the one thing that people say a lot about those sharpeners. You cut way too much off your chain. Well, I don't. It may look like that on the sparks, but I'm barely touching the chain. I only cut off just enough to get rid of the wear mark. Like if you hit something, you'll get a wear mark or something, you know, and I'll just sharpen barely enough to get rid of that, and sometimes you can still see a hair of it, you know. So I always am very careful on how much I adjust it, and it works really, really well. I'm not kidding you. I honestly can barely tell the difference between one I sharpen with that and a brand new chain out of the box. So anyway, I sharpened 6 72cc saw chains this morning, or it's a 25-inch chain, and I sharpened 5 for the 50cc saw, which are 18-inch chains, and I sharpened 1 electric chain for the electric saw, which is a 16-inch chain. And that'll keep me going for a while now. It's so easy to hit stuff here. I mean, there's just rocks everywhere. If you just let the blade, you know, you try not to do it, but every once in a while, and especially the way I do it, because I'm always in a hurry. And if you're going through the thing and something gives too quick, well, you'll bump the ground. And if you bump the ground, you've ruined the chain pretty much, because it's solid rock and solid gravel here. So it's real easy to ruin a chain. I'm using the CBN type wheel there, which is not your typical grinding wheel. It's not a regular grinding wheel. It's a steel wheel that's got, I think it's like diamond encrusted dust on the wheel. And somebody told me about that a long time ago, that I should change to that. And I thought, boy, that's crazy expensive. One of those wheels is well over $100. I think they're like $120 or something. But I guarantee you, that's the only thing I'll ever use from now on for sharpening. Oh my gosh, it's just night and day difference. It's not even similar. It's not similar at all. You know, you use those regular grinding wheels and they burn and they leave burrs, and there's just all kinds of problems with them. You use this other wheel, the CBN wheel, and it just cuts like butter. And it doesn't burn, it doesn't get hot. Just works great. So I set the back angle to 60 degrees. That's the angle on the back of the thing that swings this way. And then the front angle, like I told you, when I swing it to the left, I set it on 30. When I swing it to the right, I set it on 25. And that's just that particular machine is messed up. It was made in Italy, it says. I'm sure it's a factory defect. I'm just positive it is, because it never did work right. I couldn't get it to work worth a darn until I started setting the angles opposite like that, and now it works perfect. Well, anyway, that's enough on that. I just thought I'd let you know that. It's important to me because I spend a lot of time cutting wood. B.H. Ringer was the first one in there from Nova Scotia, Canada. And Rod Wintler says, Jerry, I loved the first one of the welding videos. I await more. I've got questions if you want me to email them to you. Subject matter aside, you are a good teacher, a rare skill. Well, thank you. Well, the way I look at it, welding is a very, very, very useful skill. And it's not that hard to learn. It really isn't. Just about anybody, I mean, if you've got any kind of confidence at all that you can do something, you can weld. I mean, if you're scared of everything and you're afraid to try stuff, well, maybe not. But, if you just get your confidence up and give it a shot, you'd be surprised. It's not very hard to do. It'll scare you a little bit if you've never done it before. Like when you see those sparks fly, it'll kind of, startle you a little bit. But you just get over that and you just do it. It's really very simple to do. It's not very difficult at all. In fact, I think it's probably easier in some ways than actually soldering, like soldering wire and stuff. Sometimes that can really deal you a fit if you don't know what you're doing. I don't have any problem with soldering, just so you understand, but I'm just saying that can be just as troublesome as welding. In fact, I'd say it's more troublesome in a lot of cases. So if you can solder, you can probably weld. Dottie Hillbrand, just got done watching the welding video. Fantastic job. If you want to start welding, you covered it pretty well. Well, thank you. I mean, there's always more stuff you can cover. You know what I mean? You can take it to any level you want to take it, but the thing is, I'm trying to keep it simple. Just keep it real simple, straightforward. Just tried to cover the things that would get you in trouble, like, welding on a wet ground. I mean, that can get you in trouble pretty fast. So I tried to cover the very basics and the things to just stay away from. Other than that, I just tried to keep it as basic as possible. She's praying for us. Thank you, Dottie. She had oral surgery yesterday, 6 to 7 teeth cut out and posts put in. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. How do you... Oh, you got to be in pain. I hope you're doing okay. I'm praying for you. Golly. She go in December 30th to get stitches out. Not really hurting. I'm taking Advil. Well, I hope that Advil works for you, because it don't work for me at all. But I actually find just regular aspirin works better than Advil for me. Zappa, good afternoon. He was the first one after we went live. There's Michael 2X. And let's see. Sundog Brewing. I don't think I've seen that one before. Says hello from the desert of Southern California. The high desert of Southern California. Wow. Well, hello. Glad you're here. Zappa says, Jerry, that lens cap is there to protect your lens. Put it back on. And he's laughing about that. To which I say, anyway, Sidecar Bob. Hi, all. We had enough snow Friday to be worth running the blower, but it's almost gone now. Well, that's a good thing. It's a kind of a... It's sunny now, but it's been, till I came in here to get ready for this, it was real dingy, dark looking out there, and it was kind of breezy and spitting snow, and it just was cold and just a crummy day so far. Looking out the window right now, it looks pretty sunny, and it looks like it would be nice out there right now, but I know it's still pretty cold. Bill Rhodes, I saw the video, Jerry. I thought it was good. Well, thank you. Kim Williford says, I had enjoyed the welding video. Well, good. Thank you. Zappa, yes, the welding video was very good. Well, thank you. B.H. Ringer, as a former journey welder, I think you did a great job on the welding video. Well, thank you. Again, I'm not trying to get super technical with it. You can take anything to any level, you know. Well, I can't. I honestly can't. I'm not a technical welder by any stretch. I don't know all those kinds of things that real trained welders know. I don't know it. But I've been doing it for 40-some years, and it ain't hurt me too bad. I can make two things stick together. Zappa, speaking of chainsaws, do you loosen your chains when you stop cutting for a while? No, I don't. I've never bothered with anything like that. I just, when I'm done, I'm done. I set it on the shelf. Wavy Gravy, Jerry, watching your welding video was real bonding experience for me. Well, good, good. Ronald Todd, welding video was well done, Jerry. Very nice bead, and we both have the same old Lincoln. Yeah, those old Lincoln buzz boxes, they're very, very, very common. I like my old Lincoln welder, I really do. And if I've got to, get serious about welding, well, then I use that one. I mean, when I say serious, I mean if I'm welding some heavy-duty stuff and it's really got a hold, and I've got maybe going to use 70-18 rod, the whole bit, turn it up real hot to get deep penetration and all that kind of stuff, well, then I will use the Lincoln welder for something like that. But for just average welding, that little Arc Captain is hard to beat, man. That thing just does its job. And it's just handy to use. And I'll tell you another thing I noticed. It seems like it holds an arc really well. Like, I don't know if it's because it's an inverter welder or what, but those little inverter welders, they seem easy to weld with to me. Let's see. Moving on. Kim Williford. She's talking to Dottie. Wow. Poor Dottie. You have been through it this year, Dottie. Golly. Let's see. Moving on. It scrolled on me, so let me catch my place here. Doggone it. Yeah, I don't know where it went there. I think it must have scrolled further than I thought it did. Kind of lost my place. James Copy missed the question marks above. Missed the question marks above. Okay. Oh, I would like to discuss Christmas in Killarney with your daughter-in-law, Emily, or it's Emery actually, and a Christmas cart pulled by Oliver. Yeah, well, I don't know if they're going to do anything like that. They'll probably do some kind of a Christmassy video with Oliver, I would imagine. Eric Landers, thanks, Jerry, for the welding video. I know squat about welding, but find myself in need of a few repairs requiring welding. Going to give it a try because the welders in my area, yeah, and it got cut off there. Won't do small jobs, he says, the next line. Yeah, and it's just not very convenient to have to take it somewhere. That's just the bottom line of it, especially for a small job. And welders are cheap now. I mean, I don't know exactly what that Arc Captain costs. I think it costs a little more than some of the other really cheap welders. Now, I did another video on and I can't remember the name of it right now, another welder. It was a blue one, I believe, and I gave that one to Isaac. Now, that one only did arc welding, but it did it really well. So if you're looking to save more money and you want to get started with a welder, that blue one, and if you're only interested in arc welding, well, the blue one has got you covered. It works really good for arc welding, but it won't do wire feed and it won't do, lift, start, TIG. So the Arc Captain is way more versatile for the money. So if you can afford the Arc Captain, that's the one I would recommend, and of course, I mean, there's gazillions of other welders out there, and I don't know all of them. So you're free to make your own choice. Kim Williford, Jerry, Dottie is getting dental implants. She's going to be very pretty when the implants get put in 4 months. Well, my goodness, God bless you. That's all I got to say, man. All that, whew. Yeah, we just don't realize how good we have it when we have it good, As humans, we're always complaining about something, but when we have it good, we really should try to recognize that we've got it good. And overall, I've got it pretty darn good. Little trouble with the hands, but other than that, I'm overall pretty good. Papa Tom, great tool to sharpen as many chains as you go through. Any tips on manual sharpening? Not really. I don't do it that much. I've done it quite a bit over the years, but I don't know that I would have any particular tips other than your file can make you or break you. Believe it or not, there's a lot of difference in files. I would get a name brand good quality file. Wouldn't buy a cheap knockoff like off Amazon or something. I mean, you can get them. I'm not saying you can't get a good one off Amazon. I'm just saying I wouldn't buy the cheapest one. I would definitely get a good file. You'd be surprised the difference that kind of thing makes. There is a huge difference in quality on a lot of that kind of stuff, especially files. In fact, I just to beat that to death, the little flat files that I often use for fret jobs, the little 6 or 8 inch ones, if you don't get a good name brand one on that, made in the USA, you're just up against it. They just don't. Those other ones just don't work. So a good name brand file means a lot. I bought, I don't know, 3 or 4 files thinking they'd probably all be just fine. And the only one that was worth a darn was the one that said Made in USA on it. It was a Nicholson file, I think it was. So there you go. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Well, good afternoon, Bill. Dottie says, can you weld upside down with the Arc Captain? Yeah, you really can. It'll weld. In fact, I think it's the easiest welder I've ever used in my life. Like I said, that blue one that I had, I can't remember the name brand of that, Me-Pow or Me-Cow or something like that, I think was the name of it. I think, Me-Pow. Anyway, that welder was pretty good too. I think it's got a lot to do with that inverter type technology that it's easy to draw an arc with those things and hold an arc, I think. I mean, if you're brand new to it, it's never totally simple, I mean, you got to practice to get pretty good at it. But I think it's as easy as it gets. Kim Williford, okay, let's see. Paul Lanier, I videoed my buddy welding a 6-inch pipe, but got a half sunburned face. Oh my goodness. All the welding I ever did, I did get burned a few times whenever I would weld like in shorts. It'd be hot summer and I'd weld, and there were some times when I was doing a lot of welding, like I was doing something to do with the tracks on one of my first skid steers. I had bought those chain type tracks, and I was welding new treads on them or something, and that's a lot of welding. And I was doing it in shorts, which I know is a big no-no. I know all that, but I got sunburned pretty good from that. And in fact, it was real good. So you do want to take that precaution. I will tell you, you can get sunburned from welding really easily. Let's see. Ronald Todd, what welding rod would you recommend as an all-around general purpose good rod? Well, in the video there, I recommended that you just use 6011. There's lots, you could argue all day about what the best rod is, but 6011 is very readily available in the stores, and it's about as forgiving as it gets. It works really good. Now, again, if you've got something that you really need high strength and you really need deep penetration, well, I would probably recommend your 7018 and turning it up a lot hotter. But for just general purpose, sticking two things together, it's hard to beat 6011 in my opinion. And then, of course, you can get that in multiple sizes. You can get it in a 1/8 inch or a 3/32 or whatever. But and of course, the bigger the rod, the bigger the job, and the hotter the fire would be. That whole thing. Bill Rhodes, did she say she was going to take 4 months? I'm told they can do that in 24 hours. Wow. Let's see. Zappa, the Arc Captain welder is $169, a very good price. For what it does, that's a really good price, in my opinion. Now, mine's a 145 MIG Pro, or MIG 145 Pro. I can't remember which way those words are together, but that's what it is, a 145 MIG Pro. And I was having trouble finding that one out there because apparently it was a fairly new model or something. I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was even a little more than that, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it is only 169. So 169 would be a very good price for that welder, I think. Let's see. Bill Rhodes says, Jerry, what is a good name file? Well, I don't know them all. There's probably a bunch of them, but for me, when you can get a Nicholson made in the USA, and I'm not even sure they're making them in the USA anymore, but the old school Nicholsons made in the USA were very, very good files. And I would say any file, if you can find any file made in the USA, it would be a really good file. Now, maybe a German-made file or some other, European country-made file, Swiss or something, would be fine too. But, I just know what I know, and I don't know that much about it. I just know a good one is definitely a good one, and a bad one is definitely a bad one. And boy, you can tell the difference in a heartbeat. It don't take long at all. So that's all I really can say on the subject, is that there's a big difference between them. And the ones made in the USA are generally good files. And there probably are some other countries that make really good files too. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, does Snap-on or H&S make a good file? Well, I don't know about Snap-on. H&S I don't think I've heard of either, so I probably couldn't comment on that. Let's see. Dottie, the dentist gave me 2 pills. I think they had to pour me in the car. Dentist started with one with his shotgun, and I told him I didn't want that. He said, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Didn't see. Yeah, I ordinarily, of course, I haven't had huge dental problems. I've had a few. I did have 1 or 2 root canals. I can't remember now. But for me, I don't know what it is, but dentistry doesn't bother me too much. The biggest thing I had was when I had all 4 wisdom teeth pulled, and I've told the story before, is that they put me under that laughing gas stuff or whatever that stuff was, and I went completely goofy. I mean, completely goofy. I think I laid down in the parking lot walking to my car. Sue was trying to get me to go to the car, and I don't know, it was just stupid things. I was completely out of my brain. And I don't know, it was a mess. Michael 2X, thumbs up for the Rosamine. Well, thank you. Dottie says, Bill, I didn't want to pay $50,000. Wow. Yeah, that's another thing. Boy, I tell you what, our health system, and all the healthcare stuff, dental, medical, whatever. It's just out of sight. It's just crazy, absolutely nuts. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. It's a mess, and I don't see it getting any better. It just needs to get better. Bill Rhodes, as long as it's not over a quarter of an inch thick. Okay, and I don't remember what that's talking back to. Let's see. If you're talking about the 6011 maybe. I'm not afraid to weld just about anything with the 6011, honestly. But if I need real strength, then I'll go to the 7018 and just turn it up hotter. The 7018, I think I said in the video that 70 to 90 amps on the 6011 is pretty good, generally speaking. But on 7018, about 125 or more is real good with the 7018. Of course, you're generally welding something that's thicker when you get up to that kind of temperature too, or that kind of amperage. Zappa says, when you get a good file, you have to treat it like a good knife. Don't throw them in a drawer. Yeah, you do want to take care of them, but it's a huge difference. You'll sure feel it, and it don't take long to tell the difference. If you got a side-by-side comparison, you can tell the difference. How about Starrett? Well, Starrett makes really high-quality stuff. Now, I don't even know if they make files, but if they do, I would be first in line. Now, having said that, let me say something. And I think this had to be a knockoff. I bought Starrett bandsaw blades for my little portable bandsaw that I bought from Harbor Freight. So on eBay, I found them. They were the same size, 44¼ inches or something like that. I don't remember the exact size, but 44-something inches. And they were made by Starrett, or at least they said made by Starrett. I bought them, and they looked to have a Starrett logo on them, although I didn't do a side-by-side comparison to an actual Starrett logo. But I thought they were Starrett, so I bought them, and those were the junkiest bandsaw blades I ever bought in my life. They wouldn't cut anything. So I went back to Harbor Freight, and I bought their blades. Cut through anything. Just cut through any kind of steel you want to put in there. It'll just cut right through it. Now, it won't cut through hardened steel, but you know what I'm saying. Any kind of typical cold-rolled type steel, you throw it through there, and it just cuts it like butter. So, I don't know. I think those had to be some kind of a knockoff Starrett. It was spelled the same way, and it had a very similar logo, but the Starrett bandsaw blades I used, Again, I think they had to be a knockoff. I think it had to be something that somebody was ripping Starrett off on. Bill Mumbo, years ago I bought files from Snap-on and they were Nicholson. Okay, they probably, that's what I would have bet on, is that if Snap-on is making files or selling files, they're probably made by somebody else. And Nicholson files are, when they were made in the USA, you couldn't really beat them, I don't think. Kim Willerford, Jerry, I love laughing gas. It's a lot of fun. It really, I was nuts. I'm not kidding you. I was absolutely nuts. Bill Webb says MacPow. Okay, thanks, Bill. Yeah, that I knew it was something like that. MacPow. Yeah, MacPow. That's a pretty good little welder, and I'm sure it's even cheaper. But it's only, just remember, there's a significant difference. It's only arc. So, and if that for 40 years, that's about all I ever did was arc welding. Now I've gotten into the wire feed welding, and occasionally I'll do a little TIG welding. I'm not a good TIG welder. We will not be doing any TIG welding videos unless I significantly improve. Dottie Hillebrand, I had dental insurance and they didn't take it, so I had to pay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's another thing. The insurance racket, I know they just shot that guy up there in New York, head of the insurance, and I don't condone that. But I'll tell you what, I can understand where he's coming from. I mean, I can understand that. I don't condone killing somebody over it, but I'm just saying you can see what drives people to that. The insurance is such a ripoff and such a racket. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking health insurance or whether you're talking car insurance or whether you're talking home insurance. It's the biggest ripoff ever perpetuated on the United States for sure. I don't know about the other countries, but here it just is. Back in maybe the 60s, 70s, somewhere in there, it was probably fine, but it's not fine anymore. It's terrible. It's the biggest ripoff ever. Bill Rhodes. Okay, that's it, looks like. Well, guys, I'm going to let that be it, I think. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching the welding video. And if you haven't watched it, go out there and do that for me. That would help. And give it a thumbs up while you're doing it. And maybe make a comment, too. Maybe it'll get out to some more people. Thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow with something else.